Hi everyone, I have been asked to complete the postbox page from Ivy and the Inky Butterfly by Johanna Basford. Now this is a double page spread, but we do have a lot of repetition within the page, so I'm not going to be doing every single aspect with you. Firstly, these flowers along here are identical to these, it's just a mirror. So I will be doing them exactly the same way in these two pages myself, so I wouldn't be demonstrating both. The dandelions are quite similar as well, and we have buttercups here. Actually we haven't got any on that side, but we do have these bluebells maybe as well. So as I say, there's quite a lot of repetition, and I have done a bee tutorial for a bee that looks really like this one from a different page in the book. So I may just do certain elements. I'm definitely going to focus on this page, which is the one I was asked to do, but I'm going to make it into a double myself, but obviously you don't have to do that. And I'm just going to think about it as I go through, really. I haven't planned anything. So I'm actually going to start with the post box. It's my favourite bit of the page. So let's do that. Now this, in the UK, post boxes are red. Let's just, there we go. So that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to start off with the red post box, or pillar box, as they sometimes get called. Now I'm using my Castle Arts soft touch pencils. I'm going to look at the reds. Now we have a mixture. I'm going to start with the Venetian red, if I can find it. Here it is, because it is quite a light red, and what I want to do is to work some shading into this. We have quite an, I'm just going to do a layer of Venetian red over the whole post box while I'm chattering to you after I've sharpened it. So I'm going to start with the light layer and then get some darker reds and just work in some different areas to give it some shape, shine, layers, all sorts of things. So we're just going to concentrate on this lovely little post box just to start with. I can tell you about my exciting morning while I am colour. My husband's off work this week and he wanted to go to the local art shop, so we went there. And I always want to buy lots of things, but I bought things before. I checked they do open stock polychromos, so I checked for those before I left. I don't actually need any at the moment, so I didn't get any of those. I've got backups of all my short ones already. What I actually did, I was very lucky to be able to afford to do this, but just before Brexit, when the UK left Europe and all the prices of buying things available in Europe went up because we suddenly had to pay import duty, I bought a 120 set of polychromos so that I had a backup before the prices all went up. And so I'm sort of still working through those at the moment, and I've got a few spares. Some pencils I've got quite a few spares of, because with my polychromos I started with a few open stock, then I bought a 36 set. I'm going to do this pole the same colour. Then I bought the 120, and now I've got a second 120. So some pencils I've got quite a few of, as you can imagine. Rather like my castles, because I have a botanical set, a Monet set, a seascape set, a 72 set, and a 120 set. So this 120 set that I'm using now was actually sent to me free by Castle. So as an affiliate now, I'm affiliate for Castle now. And my affiliate links for Castle products is in the description, and if you use it, I'm just going over this a little bit darker where Johanna's drawn lines to tell us, and I want the post a little bit darker on each side as well. I'm going to darken some areas with this lighter red and then use a darker red after. yeah, when I became an affiliate, I got to choose a free gifts up to a certain price, and these were on sale, so I was really lucky. So I got the 120 set, but I love the little sets too, because sometimes you don't want to pick between 120 colours, you know, or if you're out and about, you don't want a big old set. Right, under here, so yes, went to the art shop, and I was quite keen. I was in the mood for shopping. And I ended up buying one thing because it just didn't have what I wanted. It was a bit irritating. I said, have you got any pan pastels? No. I said, well, I'm a bit afraid that if I buy one, I might want them all. She said, yeah, lots of people say that. They don't stock them. Have you got any tools for applying pastels? No. Oh, we've got these things, he showed me. I've got those already. It wasn't something that I thought was... It was a flat, plasticky tool, which I've got, which I use for spreading stickles, which isn't particularly effective anyway. See, post boxes don't normally look like this. Small ones do. I think this is square. I'm trying to think. Most post boxes are round, but I think this bit is square, which means it's going to be flatter, whereas these bits I think are more rounded, so I'm going to make them a bit darker on the edges, so make them look more rounded in shape. But this is just my initial bit. There we go. We'll grab a darker pencil now and think about what we're doing. What's our sort of next? I think the scarlet red will be my next one. Give it a sharpen. So no, I didn't really buy much. But well, I didn't buy anything apart from a little bowl. Three little bowls. I should show you really. I haven't got them in here. 3 little bowls. One's little tiny, and then another one slightly big and slightly bigger that sit inside each other with a plastic lid on. That I was going to put a little bit of water in each and use them to dip my watercolour pencils in. Someone suggested I try dipping them in water and sort of colouring with them like that. So I'm going to have a go. Not on a video initially. Now I'm going to use this for some extra shadowing first. So let's work on this pole and get some colour either end to try and give it some shape. So yeah, they had the pastel pencils. I've tried those. They aren't really for me because I use my pastels for backgrounds, which is what I'll be doing on this picture because there's a lot of background. I've already been thinking about the fact that we've got these white dandelions. They would be white. You don't have to colour them white, but I want to, and therefore that means that I have to think of how to make the white stand out on the white paper. So I need a background. I'm going to get my pastels. I'll probably do greenish behind the here, and then maybe a bit yellow into the sky, which sounds a bit weird, so I'm still thinking on that. Yeah, I'm going to do the main box bit in a minute, don't worry. But I'm just wanting to work here because it's easier. It's not like me to procrastinate the difficult bit, is it now? Yes, it is. Right, don't tell anyone. So let's do a darker colour. But the chap who was working in the art shop, my husband was excited to see because he'd been to the open studios, and this guy had an exhibition, and he does it was lino printing, but we went and looked at his exhibition, and I looked at his Instagram page actually, and now I think this bit is dipped in, so I'm gonna make it darker. What I'll do is I'll fill it in a bit and then I'll outline it even more in a minute with the darker when we get our next red. I'll probably get the vermillion or something to give us some really deep colour in a bit. I looked at his Instagram, and he does painting and drawing. He's just got so much stuff. But he was about to go to abroad. He's got a what's it called? Now this box, I'm going to do the whole of the background in this darker pen because I want these bits to look like they're sticking out, because often on post boxes you get sort of knobbly bits like this, for want of a better word. So I'm going to colour all around these okay, with this dark red. It'd be also nice for this bit to stand out. It's like oh God, what's the flipping word? Like a placement, you know. He's got a job out there for a little bit of time, and he's doing fabric design, I think. But it was just interesting. Looking at his artwork, which was super. In fact, what was fascinating was the bits that my husband liked weren't the bits that I liked at all. I like completely different. He did quite different things. I like the really brightly coloured things. He liked the sort of pen and ink stuff and the duller colour, which was really, it's quite fascinating, isn't it? But anyway, it was. I was also trying to find some coloured paper, because when I print downloads, I quite like the idea of printing them onto different coloured papers, you know, depending on the picture. It'd be quite nice, you know, if you do something that's sort of botanical, to have a sort of greenish paper, so that you've got a background there already and it'll work with the colours that you might be using. But they only had 2 types of loose paper which would be suitable for pencil work, because they had a lot of watercolour paper, which obviously is awful for pencil, because the tooth, it's got so much tooth, would have to do about a million zillion layers. It'd be okay for watercolour pencil. Anyway, they had pastel pen paper, which is still also textured, or it was too thick, like really thick card that wouldn't fit in my printer. I can fit the card to 250 GSM, but theirs was 270. The 250 is a bit of a risk with my printer. It complains a bit, but I do it anyway. Okay, so now we've got a bit more colour on our post box. And I am going to go, as I said, for the vermilion, which is really dark, and do some dark areas. Don't worry, I'm going to come back and rework some other areas too. So I'm thinking this bottom of here, this lead feels a bit wobbly. See how we go. Just make it a bit darker at the bottom, and at each edge of here, wibble wobble. Oh. I may have to get my dowel if this one's going to misbehave, but we'll see. I'm trying to be a bit gentle. It's not like me, is it? So as I say, in here I'm going to go around the edges of these, inside edge, to try and create a sort of shadowy look. It might be, can you see my lead wobbling? It might be more effective to use a grey. Oh, I know I should sharpen, but I'm scared it's just going to keep breaking, so I'm going to persevere a little bit with it. There we go. Now I'm thinking maybe under this bit, just under there, we might just put a little bit of shadow, if my pencil allows me. There we go. And then underneath each of these bits. Now these look really pale, and don't worry, I'm going to come back to those in a minute. I'm just, there we go, it's gone. Let's have a go. I'm just wanting to do the darker bits first, and then we can worry about the light bits. That's quite stable, and although it's not sharpened very well, I've got a nice sharp point on that side, so I'm going to try it. Yeah, there we go. So underneath, to sort of give it a slightly more three-dimensional look, and under here. So it looks like there's a little lip under here. Or this is the lip, sorry, this bit's the lip. There. And under here. Now I could put some shadow under the plants, but I'm not. I'm just concentrating on the postbox design at the minute, really. Not too sure about the plants, really. Now I'm thinking under here there'd be a shadow. But I'm also thinking this sort of loopy pattern, I'm going to put a little bit of dark under on the underneath one. No, they don't have this, but I've never seen a post box with this, but why not? And then a little bit just on the edges. There we go. So I'm going to go back to the lighter colour, the Venetian red now, just to, I need to go over some of the bits. So I'm just going to take each section at a time and just look at it and see if I'm happy. So I'm happy with that. This looks a little messy. I'm just going to tidy up a tiny bit in the middle. Same with this one. Now this looks a bit messy, so I'm just going to go all over it a bit, like that. And same here, just a little bit. I want to try and make sure it stays a bit light down the middle of here, because this is a rounded lid, whereas this is square, so it looks a little bit different. So we're going to have a light, if the light shines here, it looks more rounded. And then on this one, I'm actually going to go all over it with this to just blend in that colour. It's a little bit messy for my liking, so I'm hoping that this won't take away from those shadows that I've put in, but it'll just tidy it up a little bit. We're going to put some more shadows in, I've decided, because we need something under the letters and under the plants, but we'll do that in a minute, just one step at a time. Now, I've done this page before in my other version of Ivy, and I was quite disappointed in how my postbox came out, because I wanted it to look quite three-dimensional and it really didn't. But now I'm doing it and I've had more practice, I'm hoping that I'm gonna be happier with it. And I do really like this page too. And I find sometimes, although it's fun doing a page you like, you put a bit of pressure on yourself too, because you want it to look really nice. Okay, so these items here are too pale, but we don't want them too dark either. I'm going to make them a little bit darker at the bottom of each bit, I think. A bit lighter higher up. I'm just basically adding a little bit more colour. You may not need to do this on yours if you've already done it quite dark, but I didn't want to do it too dark to start with, because I want to go over that, because I wanted it to stand out. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit of shadow in a grey under this, and I think it will make it even more distinctive and stand out. I think maybe the Paynes grey will be the best choice. Oh, there you go, Paynes grey. So we've got these. I need it really sharp, which it isn't. Let's just, there we go. So we have got, I'm thinking on this one the shadow would be above. Just the way it's drawn makes me feel that it would be there, and that there where Johanna's drawn those lines, look. Whereas here I think you need them under these circles to make them look like they are standing out a bit. Now you may want to put some shadow above as well as below if it doesn't quite give you enough. Not sure, hang on, let me just brush that off. I think I'm going to do it all round, a little bit above as well. Try and do a bit more below, but a little bit above. You just have to have a little bit of patience, which I'm rubbish at. Just work the pencil gently until you've just got enough. There we go. Now this line, I'm just going to put a little bit under it. I'm not really sure what it's doing, to be honest. Now these, inside the line, make sure you stay inside and just darken around the edge. Just checking the time. My son is talking really loudly all of a sudden. I was just wondering if it was lunchtime, but no. All around like that. I Do we want to do one underneath? No, I think we'll do a little bit under here because that might be a little lip. This bit up here. We'll just put a little bit. You might have to be patient and work the pencil a little bit because I've done quite a few layers here. It's not showing up too much, so I'm just trying to work it a little bit, but I want to do it gently, so I don't want a big dark grey streak, but I need it to look like there's a bit of a shadow there. And under here. And the same on this side. I'm not sure whether to do a little bit above or not. You want more underneath because it's most likely that the light will be coming from on top. I think I'm just going to put a little bit there. I think it might just help. Yeah. And the same here, so you want a little bit more under there. And potentially up the side than above. There we go. I'm not going to do the leaves and bits yet. I'm going to do under here. Like that. And then just a lighter bit above. Same here. So it's the same technique all the time, just gently working the pencil until you get it dark enough without it looking too... We don't want big streaks of grey. If you do too much, it can just look like dirt, which is nice. Unless you want a dirty post box, I don't really. And then round. Okay. Now I'm just going to grab my Venetian red again and tidy it up. I can see bits that aren't quite neat enough. And it's unlike me to want to be mega neat, but just a few areas where I think just benefit from a little bit more. There we go, and maybe a bit more on these. Even in there. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the Paynes grey again and do the shadowing, oops, from the letters. Now I think there would be definitely a bit of shadow underneath here, up the side here, like that, a little bit down there, and under here. Sun's coming out. I hope it's not. I hope it's going to be okay. Okay. No, the sun is all over. We've got a big shadow from my tripod. Hang on a minute. There we go. Sorry. Okay. I hadn't even put my light on. Right. Now I'm going to take my eraser and try and erase some of this red off the letters. And this leaf. Now I'm just trying to have a look and thinking about what is this. I think it comes all the way up here, here and here. So we could do that as just one little piece. And we've got our letters to do. I struggle with what colour to do letters. But we'll do the leaves first while I think about it. Now with a red, I think that a mid-green, like something like I'm just scratching my head thinking not a bluey green, something more, maybe more like a juniper goes quite well with red. Maybe these, even though these names to me imply bluey greens, but they're not really. You don't really want the olives, so I think I'm going to grab a juniper green. Where is it? There it is. So when you're choosing greens to go with different colours, I personally prefer olive greens, which are the yellowy greens with things like orange. I prefer the bluey greens with blues, pinks, violets, purples, that sort of colour. And then the mid greens, like a leaf green, something like that, with reds and yellows. But that's my personal choice. It doesn't mean it's right. This is the juniper green. Now this is a darkish green, so I'm not going to do everything it all in this colour. So I'm going to do the base of the leaf in the juniper, and then I'm going to fade it up, and we're going to just put a lighter, more yellowy green on the tip. Oops, there. Wondered how long it would take for the end to snap off. I want it dark enough to stand out from the post box, which it will. Now this is very small, so we're just going to use this colour. Okay, and then we've got the bit down here. Now this bit's got lines in it, and I don't really know why, so I'm going to actually, it's a bit of a, found a scratchy bit there. I'm going to just ignore it, but I'm going to just make it a little dark on the edges if I can. Just try and make it look rounded. It didn't really work, it's a bit too small. And again, just put more layers there and less towards the tip of your leaf. Like that. And then with this one, I'm just going to do a light layer and try and get a bit more colour in the bottom, a bit less at the top. Again, it's a bit narrow to get that working well. Okay, and this, I'm sure this bit is the continuation. I couldn't work out what this was when I first did this picture, but now I know what it is. Basically, these are clips. And if you look up at the top part of the picture, which you obviously can't see because I've come in too close, there are envelopes with these on, and I suspect that somehow the envelopes have had these seeds put on them, and that's what is carrying them to the post box, because they're flying in the sky with them on. Unless they've been put on the letters to deliver them somehow. It's one way or the other. They're either finding their way in or out of the post box using these little clips. So I'm trying to make these a bit lighter on the tip. And to do that, you just put more layers with this colour. The more you layer up, the darker it gets. It's usually the case with most colours, but not so much with pastels, pastel colours or yellows. But it works with this green, fortunately. There we go. Now, I want it sort of lighter. I'm going to go for the leaf green middle, if I can find it. There it is. It's a much lighter, brighter sort of colour. To do the tips, I think that's Sharpener. And I'm just going to layer it on and then mix it downwards with the other colour. And do it. I'm not doing it on the vine part, just on the leaves. Like that, all the way through, all the same. We've got our little snail friend to colour. Now, and the letters. Right, I think about the letters first. Now, usually I'm thinking letters white, that's a bit boring. I was thinking maybe we could do one brown. We do have sort of buff brown paper here, which would be like a bill. But my children actually got one today in a buff brown, and it wasn't a bill, it was their driving licence application forms. So that's quite exciting. So they're not always nasty letters that come in brown. So I have grabbed what I think is the nearest colour to that sort of buff colour, which is the yellow ochre. And I'm going to use, because they're normally window envelopes, I don't know why I'm trying to go for sort of a realistic thought, but I'm going to do it for this one. It's a little bit too bright, but that's okay. So I'm just going to put it on there, and then I'm just going to darken it slightly with the burnt umber. Okay, so make it a slightly darker brown, really light layer of burnt umber. It's almost like craft paper colour that I'm going for, so I haven't got it exactly right, but there we go. Now there's going to be some shadow under here, and we can use this burnt umber for that, but we need it sharp. Oh, just broke it. Hang on. That wasn't the plan, never mind. There we go. So under here, start putting in a dark layer. Now I'm thinking where this is bent, I think there'd be a bit more shadow. The same here, I think there might be a thicker bit there. It's always quite tricky. If you, it's good to start observing. I found as soon as I started colouring, I started observing things more, like where the shadows lie, what colour things are, all sorts of things like that. Now this top letter, I was thinking we could do it in a light blue, a sort of pastel-y blue. When I was young, airmail paper was always a pale blue. Our palest blue is a turquoise, but I think that'll be okay. The cobalt turquoise. So here it is, cobalt turquoise. So we'll do that for our top letter. Because airmail paper was blue and it's always thinner. I think they still sell it actually. It's thinner than the paper that we would normally write letters on. And that means that it's cheaper to post, because obviously mail goes by weight. Now I'm trying to get a reasonably even layer of the blue, but I'm thinking about shadows on here. I'm thinking under this lip there would be more shadow, and down here, but I'm not going to use this colour for the shadow because it will just make the envelope look like it's different colours. So I think I'm going to grab the Paynes grey that we used before. Oh, there you go. And try and use that. So I think under here I think there would just be one sort of stripe of shadow. But down here I think there might be, because it's sort of bent downwards, just a little bit down here. I'm pressing really lightly. I just want a little bit there. That'll do. I don't know if that even shows. Now I'm thinking the letter behind, maybe we could do it in a pretty pink colour. Something light. The azalea pink is the lightest pink. I think it's rather cute. So we use that. And this is quite thick actually. It's probably, I probably need to sharpen it. And if you want to, it's broken. If you want to use a, leave one white, I would leave the bottom one white. I think it would sort of work the best. I don't know why I think that. I try and talk you through my thought process, but sometimes it's just a bit random. There we go. And this also needs some shadow on, and again I'm going to use the Paynes grey. And I'm going to go behind So from where this brown one is, there'd be a little bit along there and here. And that shadow isn't done as well as I'd like. Oh, it is. I thought I'd left a white cap, but it's just where my light shining on it. So there's our letterbox, but we do have this little piece which I'm just going to do as part of the video. This little magical box, because it's sort of part of the post box, I think. Let's do a silver handle. Really simple, I think. Paynes grey. I'm saying simple because I'm only going to use one colour. So I'm going to start with my darkest bit here on this corner, like that, and the same here. So just put down a few layers so you've got quite an intense grey, and then gently do less as you go towards the top there. Same here. Do less. There'll be a shadow here, so pop that in. There we go. So it just hopefully looks quite silvery. What we can do is move it a bit. We can use our black to just put a few darker bits in, just to, I'm thinking under that curl there and under here. Might just be a little bit more black, and that might just help us to give the illusion of silver a little bit more. There we go. Just going to leave it there. Now the cork. This is going to be a sort of brown. I'm just looking, we don't really have the right colour by any stretch. I think we'll use the yellow ochre again, just for a base layer. I think it's quite a useful lightish colour. Of course it doesn't have to be cork coloured, but that's what I've decided to do. Now with corks aren't shiny, they're very matte, but I think I'm just going to try and make it a little bit lighter towards the middle, just to try and give it some shape. So I'm just layering up a little bit more on those edges. This actually isn't a bad colour. And because it's cork has little splodges on it of different colour woods. So I'm going to grab the sepia, and I'm going to keep it blunt and draw some splodges on. Sort of, I'm dotting a bit here and there. Don't have to do this. There we go. Now, the bottle itself, I'm thinking these are white, so we need to make it, so the white stands out, so we need something. Is it going to be a magical colour? Is it going to be a coloured glass, or is it going to be coloured inside with a see-through glass? I'm thinking coloured inside with a see-through glass would help us with the colour of the white seeds. Now these clips here need colouring in first, I think. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to do them in black. So I've got my ivory black. And I feel like I should do the ones that are elsewhere in the picture too. I'm just looking, we've got a couple up here on the letters, there's quite a few. I'm going to do all of these the same way, just so that I remember what I'm doing. There we go. Yeah, we'll just leave those there. So we're not going to do any more of the rest of the page today. But now these circles, I think these are white, the white bits. So we're not going to worry about those. We're going to do some magic inside our jar. Now what colour? Now I need white to work. on here to do the white petals, so I need to choose a colour for my magic that isn't a colour that the white bleeds into. And if you have a look at my swatch chart here, for example, in this cherry, you can see I've tried out a little dot of pen and it's gone neon pink, as it has on all of this section of colours. So we're not going to use any of those, because instead of having a white dandelion, we'll have a neon pink one, which isn't what I want. So I think what I'm going to do instead is use maybe the lavender light. No, we need something quite dark. We don't want Purple Lake because that leaks as well. Bleeds, I think. But I like these mauves. I'm thinking maybe mulberry and Purple Lake Deep might be nice. So maybe I'm going to grab those. Where are they though? Here's mulberry. Oops. Purple Lake Deep. Where are you? Can't find it. There it is. Mulberry, Purple Lake Deep. Right. So here's our mulberry. I'm thinking of doing little, yeah, I'm thinking, do we do splodges like a galaxy sky inside our bottle? Yeah, let's do that. So intense colour here and then less. Okay. And here, intense colour here, and then less around the edge, and a bit down here. Like that. Then we get our, whoops, Purple Lake Deep. We do a similar thing. Now I'm being quite random with where I'm choosing to put my colour. They're quite similar, aren't they? I think we need something a bit lighter as well. So I'm just going to do a little bit here and there. Grab something lighter to sort of put it together. I am thinking the lavender light, which I did mention before, which is here. And I'm going to go in all the spaces and just over it all, mix it all up. Hopefully it will look a little bit magical. We're going to use some white pen to help us. Hopefully it will help us in a bit. But I'm okay with this anyway. So you put it over everything, it just helps to pull it all together, to blend it together. Now I find when you do a galaxy look like this, if it's a sky or whatever, once you add white dots, it just somehow lifts the whole thing. I don't really know why or how. But before that, we need to think about the rest of the bottle. This bit and this bit and this bit, I thought I might do in a grey to make it look like those bits are see-through. Like the bottle is a see-through bottle, it's just that this bit has got this inside it. But these look like little gemstones. So we'll do these. I'm thinking maybe we could use one of the purples. We could use one of the ones we've used already, but I'm thinking maybe we would just use the heather purple so it's slightly different. Because why would the gemstone on the bottle be the same colour as the inside? It wouldn't. So here's a heather purple. And these are, to make them into gemstones, you need a bit of white and a bit of shape. It's quite difficult in such a small area. But we'll sharpen and see what we can do. My idea would be, ideally, around the edge with a more intense layer, so layer more, and then less towards the middle. And we'll use our white pen to finish that off and get a look to it, a more gemstone-y, shiny look to it in a bit. So there are those. I'm just going around the edges a bit more. There we are. Now our glass. Now I want a light, cool grey for glass. I like to use a cold grey. So I've got my cool grey here. Let's just sharpen it. Now we've used this sort of silvery colour for the handle, which I have to say I'm not particularly happy with, but I'm going to do the glass and then have a think. So down here I'm going to make it darker here and then just lighten it towards the middle like that, leave a bit of a shine. Same here. Here I'm taking in those gaps between the gemstones at the bottom as well, colouring those in too. And I'll do that here with this, just colour in those little gaps because I think there would be glass behind them. Now I think I'm going to make this handle black. I'm not happy, to me it just doesn't look silver. So I've grabbed my ivory black and I'm just going to go over it in black. We'll still leave a bit, make it lighter at the top for a shine. But it just doesn't look silver, it just looks messy to me. Of course you can keep yours in the silver if you prefer it, but I just don't think it wasn't doing what I wanted. I'll layer that up a bit at the bottom more. Okay, so let's grab our white pen and see if we can work some magic. I'm using my Posca. Now, we need to do these gemstones, just a tiny bit on each one to make them look shiny. I'm going to change sides here, like that. I can put a tiny bit on the glass as well, like this. Then here, like that. And these lines here that Johanna's drawn on the back, I'm going to follow those around. Now we've got lots of dots. And this, I'm going to fill that in as a blob because it's quite small and we need it to stand out. And then whenever I do those through the page, because there's quite a few, we'll do them in the same way. But I'm going to do this dots all the way. It's like a pattern of dots across the top there. There's lots of dots through the page, through the item like that. Put a tiny bit of shine on the bottom. You could go around the outside in white, but I find that you have to be a bit careful because if you go around the outside of some, I've just realised that lavender light is gone neon. How annoying is that? I'm going over it again, but I don't think it's going to work. If you go all the way around the edge of some things in your page, if you don't do it with all of them, it can look a little bit strange. So I'm not intending on getting rid of the lines in any other parts of the page, so I'm not going to worry about it there. But I'm going to leave that for today. We spent a very long time on two very small items, but I've had a lot of fun. I hope it was okay. We still haven't done the snail, just noticed, but I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to go and get some lunch. But I will come back and I will be doing another bit. We'll do the parcels, we'll do the snail. We'll definitely do flowers where I'll show you my background. There's a lot to do on this page. I'm just not sure whether I'm going to do the bee because I've done a really similar one. I'll have a think, but we'll see how we get on. But as I say, I'm really concentrating on this side of the page. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a super day and happy colouring.